Hey guys, we talked about everything when it comes to what characters to skip and what characters to pull for in the most detail possible. We made tier lists, we made pull plans, we covered every single portrait in the game even, you know. We know exactly what character to go for and what to skip, how good they are, why we should do that, and so on and so forth. But there's one thing that could help you make better decisions in version 2.6, because in version 2.7 we get a free 6-star collector, which I want to talk to you about real quick. Now this 6-star collector in version 2.7, by the way, keep that in mind, that is very important. We do not get this in version 2.6. It's for the next version 2.7. There we get the 6-star collector for free. But it doesn't include every single 6-star in the game. Obviously, that would be a little bit too broken. But there's a good selection of characters that is included here. And the following characters will be in this free 6-star collector. The characters are Eternity, Pickles, Mrs. New Bubble, Melina, Lee, Shamani, Jessica, Medicine Pocket, Voyager, Lilia, Sotheby, and Druvis. So let's talk about each and every one of those characters and when should you get them, why, and what would be the possible scenarios and what would have the most value depending on which scenario you are in. So let's talk about it. There are 3 characters here in this selection that really stick out as the most useless of them all. Those are Lilia, Druvis III, and Shamani. Let's talk about them still real quick, because especially Shamani and Druvis, they keep showing up from time to time. They are always part of discussions we have, because they are in the Euphoria banners, they are now in the Selector. Druvis just got a Battle Pass garment. So they have something in common with a character that we get the Euphoria for in version 2.8, and that is Jessica. What's the deal with Jessica? Jessica was really bad before she got her first Euphoria. That's why they gave her Euphoria, and that Euphoria turned out to be really bad though, so she stayed irrelevant and was heavily outclassed. That's why she is the first character to receive her Euphoria number 2. And the exact same scenario pops up for these 3 characters here as well, for Lilia, Druvis, and Shamani. All of their Euphoria ones are pretty bad, and that's why they are completely unplayable pretty much right now. And as I said, like especially Shamani and Druvis, they keep popping up even with garments and stuff, for battle pass garments for the Druvis. Why would that possibly be, you know? That is pure speculation, but I don't think it is a coincidence that they keep showing up time and time again. So I would predict that they also, just as Jessica does, they get their second Euphorias pretty soon after version 2.8. So that's why I would not completely rule them out to a 100%. But anyways, that is speculation, that might not happen, and even if it happens, their second Euphoria might still not be that great. So yeah, that's I just wanted to mention and speak of my mind here real quick when it comes to these 3, especially these 2 characters with Druvis and Shamani. So then let's move on to the most niche character here of them all, and that is Lee. The only possible scenario you would ever use this 6-star collector on Lee is if you did pull for Noir, you have Noir, but you for some reason you didn't have enough resources, you got unlucky, whatever the reason might be. You have Noir, but you don't have Lee. That's the only possible scenario where you would use this 6-star collector on Lee. Then in version 2.6 we get the Euphorias of Medicine Pocket and Melina. Now that you know that in version 2.7 you can pick one of these characters for free, you might skip both of them completely in version 2.6, or you only go for one and then you pick the second one in version 2.7 from this selector, right? It gives you a little bit of freedom. Maybe you only want one of those euphorias, or if you want both, then you can pick up one now and then one in version 2.7. You know, you get the point. It makes these euphorias actually skippable in version 2.6 because you would get them for free in version 2.7. That is something very, very important to keep in mind. So yeah, remember that when you pull for anything in version 2.6. So for the rest of the characters, it depends on what teams you build. Remember, in version 2.8, after this version concluded, you want to have three very good teams, the best teams that you possibly can build, ready, right? That's the ultimate goal. That's what all this planning is for, so that you have three strong teams in version 2.8 or after it at the latest. And that's what you have to keep in mind here. That is the most important thing of them all. And this is where a character like Eternity, for example, comes in. As if you plan to pull for Nautica, which you totally should, you know that by now. It's like not a secret or like difficult to figure out or something. So if you want to do that, then Eternity is pretty much a must-have. It's, yeah, you need Semmelweis. Semmelweis got a banner right now. You can pick her up. You definitely should. There is no possible way you would ever skip out on obtaining Semmelweis if you want to play Nautica. That does not work, okay? So get your hands on Semmelweis. Then you would also need or want to have Eternity straight out of the gate. She's not a 100% you must have Eternity, because yeah, you could maybe, it depends on what characters you have available, right? But Eternity is also heavily recommended and a best in slot, in fact, for this Nautica team. So if you plan to play Nautica, you want to gain Eternity. But remember, Semmelweis has priority, easily, you know, so pull for Semmelweis if you don't have her. And if you want to go further with this Nautica team, then you can pick Eternity for free in version 2.7. Okay, cool. Next up, we have Pickles. Now, Pickles, you can play Pickles right now with Semmelweis until version 2.8 comes around. That changes there. Pickles is very, very beneficial if you plan to pull for Recoleta and go for the ultimate base team. So Pickles and Recoleta are a very, very good combination of characters. And it goes even further because Pickles is also a very, very good character in the best follow-up team that you could possibly build, because remember, this selector drops in version 2.7, and in version 2.7 Jiyoon Young-ji gets her Euphoria, which makes her one of the best DPS characters in the entire game, and that is still true in version 2.8. And guess what? Jiu is a mineral afflatus character, which makes her synergize with Pickles beautifully. They are a match made in heaven. So you see the value that you gain by picking up Pickles. He is very, very versatile. He has top tier DPS characters through the board. So many of them, right? He can be played in multiple different teams and be just fine. Pickles has a whole bunch of value. So keep that in mind moving forward. Then we have Mrs. New Bubble. Now, Mrs. New Bubble is a top tier support when it comes to slot ability. She is fantastic in every single team, no matter what. As a slot-in character, if you would miss out on the support slot for any team, you can just put in Mrs. Bubble and she will do a fantastic job and you will be just fine. Your sustainability goes through the roof with Mrs. Bubble. So very versatile, perfectly slottable character, top tier in her own right, and the fact that you can obtain her for free is absolutely fantastic. The only thing you have to keep in mind here is that Mrs. Bubble is never the best slot in character for any top tier team in the game, right? That's a little bit of her weakness, but the same goes for other top tier characters like Anyonala, like Akane. They are all really good characters, top tier, but they don't have a place in one of the best teams in the game in version 2.8. So in case, like, it depends on your roster, of course. If you don't have too many good support characters, and that is the slot that you always struggle with in your teams, then Mrs. Bubble is a very solid pickup here from this free 6-star collector. Then we have Melina. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is aware right now what Melina does. I did a Euphoria breakdown for her. Yeah, it's my most recent video, so everyone should be aware of what she does and how good she is exactly, and what team she is played in. She's played in the ultimate based team together with Noah or Recoleta. That would be the best usage of Melina, but she's also very slottable, as you can just put her in a team with a main DPS that excels at dealing damage with his ultimate, and Melina is good, right? So again, also very high value. She's then a little bit outclassed in version 2.8, but when it comes to Muldir, right? But they can be played together. You can have two of them. You pretty much can never go wrong with that. So there you go for Melina. And yeah, remember, she has the Euphoria banner in version 2.6, so you can skip her there if you wanted to. If you pull for Recoleta and you don't have Pickles, then you should pull for Melina and then, yeah, pick something else up in version 2.7. But yeah, that's a very niche scenario, and yeah, I'm pretty confident you will make the right decision there. Then we have Jessica. Jessica, very simple and straightforward. You pick up Jessica here for free in case you don't already have her, and you plan to play the poison team based around Willow and Tuesday in version 2.8, and that's really about it. If you don't play the poison team with Willow, then yeah, forget about Jessica, completely irrelevant. If you play the team with Willow though, then Jessica will be a must-have. So if you don't have her, that's your chance in version 2.7 to pick her up for free. Medicine Pocket, yeah, talked about her in detail. That is very skippable, because the only team that she really fits in is the Nautica team. And there she is not the best in slot. Ezra is the better character. There's one caveat to this fact, and that is that Ezra will also be played and be, yeah, kind of it is a must-have, because otherwise you will not generate your dynamo quickly enough to level up the surging field. I talked about this as well in my Ulrich breakdown, I think, or was it a Lucy? I talked about this at some point in detail. So just in case, like let's say in version 2.8 you plan to play both the Dynamo team and the Blood Ember team, the Blood Tide team, whatever we call it now. The Nautica team, let's call it the Nautica team. If you plan to play both of these teams, then you would need Ezra in both of these teams, because Ezra is for both of these teams a best in slot, so you want her for both teams. But you can't do that, right? You can only use Ezra once in one of those teams. So, and the best possible replacement that we have right now is in fact this Medicine Pocket Euphoria, because you can then play Medicine Pocket in the Nautica team, and then Ezra is free to be played in the Dynamo team. Now you have to remember and you have to know that Medicine Pocket is not the best in slot for the Nautica team. That is just a substitute to free Ezra for the Dynamo team. But if you want to play both, Medicine Pocket is high value and you can totally do that. So that's about it. Let's move on to Voyager. Voyager is in the same ballpark as Jessica, very straightforward, very easy to talk about, because she is a best in slot character for the impromptu team. You definitely would want to have her in case you, for some reason that would be very niche, you plan to play this impromptu team in version 2.8 or 2.7, because this is when Caparina drops, and you don't have Voyager right now, then you could pick her up for free. Also, yeah, we talked about all the portraits. Check out my video about all the portraits. You could also pick up a portrait for Voyager. That is not really recommended. I would rather recommend you pick up a character that you don't have and that you would need to build yourself one of the best teams in the game in version 2.8. I talked about this a lot in over 20 minutes, 30 minutes video about this. So yeah, go check that out. I talk about everything there. But yeah, Voyager, very niche, because if you plan to play impromptu, you should already have her, like maybe even multiple times at this point. So yeah, in case you want to play impromptu and you don't have Voyager, pick up Voyager for free. There you go. Then Lilia, that's a 100% guaranteed skip. There's no way you would ever use this on Lilia. Even, it is very unlikely, but let's say even she receives her Euphoria number 2, that is speculation, that is too much of a risk. And if you go and you speculate on a Euphoria number 2, then you should probably pick up Druvis. And even at second place it would be Shamani. Like Lilia is, yeah, forget about Lilia. Don't use this selector on Lilia, no matter what. Then we have Sotheby. That is the healer for the poison team, you know? And she is one of the best healers in the entire game, even in version 2.8. She's like third place, or maybe even second place still, you know? Because Medicine Pocket is not that great. And no one takes away the number of 1 spot from Fatuto. So Sotheby is a top tier, one of the best healers in the entire game, right? So she has very high slot ability, and it can not only be played in the poison team, although that would be her best slot. If you plan to play Willow and you for some reason don't have Sotheby, that's when you definitely must pick her up here, right? That would have even higher value than Jessica. Yeah, that's a close call, but yeah, you get the point. If your roster of characters lacks a top tier healer, Sotheby, boom, go for her. Then Druvis the third, yeah, that is also a must skip, same as Shamani, right? You should skip these characters because there are so many good characters here in the selector, and to pick up Druvis because of some speculation, I would never recommend that, right? So yeah, Druvis is also a pretty safe skip. Doesn't have a place, it's not good by any means, and only pick her up if you have everyone else and you speculate on Euphoria number 2 for Druvis in the near future. And yeah, that's the 6-star collector in version 2.7 for you. We talked about every single character. Let's go over this in really quick succession one more time. When and why should you pick up Eternity? That is if you want her, if you lack a slot, a best in slot character for the Nautica team into version 2.8, otherwise skip her. Pickles, if you plan to play a Recoleta, if you plan to play Jiunyangje, or if you want him, or if you want him right now for the Semmelweis team, which is one of the best teams in the game right now, pick up Pickles, otherwise skip. Mrs. New Bubble, if your roster of characters lacks a top tier support and or you want a highly slottable character, Mrs. Bubble is the best choice. Melania, if you plan to play a team based around their ultimates, mainly Noir or Recoleta, then go for Melania. Keep in mind, you can play her with every single main DPS character that excels at dealing damage with their ultimate. And only if you have Noir and you plan to play Noir as your ultimate team, otherwise easy skip. Shamani, easy skip, don't pull for Shamani. If you speculate on a Euphoria number 2, Druvis is your choice. Jessica, If you plan to play Willow and Tuesday, Jessica will be a must-have, and that's the only way you would ever pick her up, otherwise skip. Medicine Pocket is only a substitute and only the second choice for the Nautica team, but if, as I said, if you play Dynamo and Blood Ember in version 2.7, Medicine Pocket is a very good slot in, as that would free up Ezra for the Dynamo team. Voyager, only if you don't have her, if you plan to play impromptu, and that's the only way you would ever pick her up, otherwise skip. Lilia, skip, not worth talking about. Sotheby, Poison team, highly slottable top tier healer in the game, so it depends on your roster. Must pick up if you don't have her and play Poison. And if your roster in general lacks a top tier healer, go for Sotheby here. Then Druvis the Third, must skip. Only if you have every other single character here in this selection, and you speculate on getting a Euphoria number 2 in the near future, then you can pick up Druvis, but that's the only way, otherwise skip. And that's about the video, guys. I hope that was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel, I would really appreciate that. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.